What if I told you that our crops are actually talking to us right now, sending out these silent alarms when they're thirsty or too hot or under attack? The thing is, we just need to know how to listen. And in this explainer, we're going to learn how to decode their language.
I mean, just imagine it. What if our crops could tell us exactly what they need? Hey, I need more water, or it's getting way too hot, or I need help fighting off this disease. This isn't science fiction, you know? It's a real, critical science that could literally secure our global food supply. And look, this isn't just some abstract theoretical problem. Right now, as we speak, our global food supply is facing some really serious challenges. The crops we all depend on for food and even the clothes we wear, they are constantly under pressure.
And the list of threats is pretty long. On one side, you have what scientists call abiotic stresses, so non-living things like drought and extreme heat. And on the other, you've got biotic stresses. These are the living threats, like nasty pathogens and pests. When you put them together, they can completely devastate harvests and threaten food security for all of us.
So, what's the solution here? Well, scientists and plant breeders are basically on a mission. You could call it a quest to find and create what you might think of as super plants.
The whole idea is to pinpoint the toughest individuals in any group of plants. You know, the ones that can really withstand the heat, survive with less water, and still produce a healthy yield. These are the elite varieties, the ones that can secure our food supply for the future. But here's the thing. Finding these super plants, it's not a matter of luck, not at all. It takes incredibly precise science. We need a systematic way to measure how plants are really doing under pressure. And that, right there, brings us to the core of our explainer. So this brings us to the hero of our story, a scientific method that actually allows us to decode what our plants are telling us. It's called stress phenotyping. Now, I know, that sounds super complex, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. A plant's phenotype is just all of its observable traits. You know, its height, the color of its leaves, how deep its roots go. With stress phenotyping, scientists measure these traits just like a doctor giving you a checkup. It gives them a really clear picture of the plant's health and how well it's coping. And you have to understand, this isn't just some casual observation. This is rigorous science. Standardization makes sure every single plant is measured the exact same way. Replication proves the results aren't just a one-off fluke. Controls give you that crucial baseline for comparison, your healthy and your sick plant. And of course, monitoring the environment tells the whole story. This is what turns simple observations into powerful, actionable data. Okay, theory is great, but let's see this in action. We're going to give a checkup to 3 crops we all rely on, and we're going to start with one of the most important ones, wheat. So when a wheat plant gets stressed, it starts showing symptoms, or what scientists call traits. If its leaves start rolling up, that's a clear signal it's trying to save water. If its pollen is still viable in high heat, that's an amazing sign for reproduction. And a cool canopy temperature, that means it's effectively sweating to beat the heat, which is exactly what you want to see. And this is the cool part. We can actually put a number on these signals. For leaf rolling, for example, scientists use a simple 1 to 5 scale. A score of 1, that's a happy, flat leaf soaking up the sun. A 5, that means it's tightly rolled up, almost like it's hunching its shoulders to conserve every single last drop of water. The lower the score, the more drought-tolerant that plant is. Simple as that. All right, next up, cotton. The ability of this plant to handle stress directly impacts the quality of the very t-shirt you might be wearing right now. It really brings it home. So for cotton, scientists look at similar things, like canopy temperature, but they also look at traits that are totally unique to the plant's purpose. Boll retention, for instance, tells us if the plant can actually hold on to its cotton bolls in extreme heat. And fiber quality tells us if that cotton is still going to be strong and long enough to be useful. And this really shows you just how specific the goals can get. For a cotton plant to be considered truly heat tolerant, plant breeders need it to retain more than 50% of its bolls, even when the temperatures are soaring. It's a clear, measurable target for building a much more resilient crop. Okay, for our final checkup, we're looking at another global superstar, maize, which you probably know as corn, and it faces its own unique set of challenges, especially when heat and drought decide to strike at the exact same time. For maize, one of the most critical traits is something called the anthesis silking interval, or ASI. It sounds complicated, but trust me, it all comes down to timing. Think of it like a perfectly timed relay race. Anthesis is when the tassel releases its pollen. Silking is when the silks on the ear pop out to catch it. As that timing gets out of sync because of stress, pollination fails. And just like that, you can lose a huge part of your crop.
So, take a look at this. It really shows you the race against time. A tolerant, happy plant keeps that interval, the ASI, under 3 days. Everything is perfectly synchronized. But in a stressed plant, that window stretches out. The pollen can be long gone before the silks are even ready to catch it. A short ASI is a direct, measurable sign of a fantastic, drought-tolerant plant.
So we've seen how scientists are doing these checkups in the field, but what happens next? I mean, how does all this data actually end up helping us, on our dinner plate?
It's a pretty clear and powerful journey, actually. First, the scientists are out in the field, measuring these traits, essentially reading the plant's signals. Then they dig into the data to find the absolute standout performers. Those elite plants, the toughest ones, are then selected and used in breeding programs to develop new, future-proof varieties that carry all those amazing resilient traits. At the end of the day, stress phenotyping isn't just some academic exercise. It's the engine that's driving the development of crops that can actually withstand a changing climate. And that means more stable and more secure sources of the food we eat and the fiber we wear, for all of us. So here's where we are. We can now translate the silent language of our crops into hard, useful data. We actually have the tools to listen. The question isn't really, can we hear them anymore? It's, are we ready to act on what they're telling us?